Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Princess Strongstyle 9v2, and I'm back with another edition of my weekly Q&A. Although it's the second one, so yeah, it's still considered as another. But anyway, thank you guys for all your questions that you sent in. Although I only got 3 sets of questions anyway, and a couple of them are 3 questions, and one of them I only got 2. So yeah, I really enjoyed last week's episode, and I hope to enjoy this week. Recording for you guys. I'm currently recording it on June 16, 2017, Friday night. And while I am a bit occupied right now, I am still willing to record this video for you guys because I just want to try to see if I can get it out Saturday morning. And yeah, I'm just sitting here in my room with a bottle of Diet Pepsi. Wonder why? So that way I can eat regular cake. That's why. And thumbs up to you guys, whoever got the reference. So, as stated before in last week's episode, you guys are going to be given a limit of 3 questions, and I will record these Friday night or Saturday morning, and I will have the video released on Saturday, no later than Sunday or anything like that. So, you guys can send in your questions, unless it's like something very controversial that is like very, touchy, for real life stuff. But we can talk about, relationship stuff and shit like that. But it's definitely going to be entertaining nonetheless. So sit back, hope you enjoy, and send in those questions, and let's get to these sumbitch questions that I got for this week. 3 sets of questions, and the first one that I'm going to be answering for this week is none other than Mr. Beetle 890. Thank you for your questions. First question is most underrated commentary pairing. When I think of commentary pairings, I really think of teams like Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan. The most specific match of the 1992 Royal Rumble match. That is a fucking classic from the commentary side of things. I think of Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler, Michael Cole and Taz, Jesse Ventura, and JR worked a bit in WCW around 92, I believe it was, or even 93. Tony Schiavone and whoever was on there, like Bobby Heenan. Him and Heenan did a really good job there for WCW commentary for the latter years of WCW. And but however, if I have to choose one commentary team that I think is the most underrated, I would actually have to give it to Lenny Leonard and Jimmy Bauer, I believe it was. I think that's the name of the team. Of the pairing from Ring of Honor from 2005 to 2008, I believe it was. And I believe it was Gabe Sapolsky that was working with Lenny Leonard, unless it was someone else. But I loved their commentary from that time. I haven't seen all of Ring of Honor from that period, but man, I really enjoyed the commentary on there. And Lenny Leonard, for me, for a while, I would consider him the voice of Ring of Honor, for me personally. I mean, he was calling some really great matches over the years. He really kept focused on the storylines and the feuds and the wrestlers. And he's basically doing the same job as, like, Matt Striker is for Lucha Underground. And I really enjoyed his work from that time. And Jimmy Bauer, a.k.a. Gabe Sapolsky, who was also the booker of the time, he definitely did a really good job of keeping the energy up. Unless it was someone else. I don't remember if it was Jimmy Bauer, a.k.a. Gabe Sapolsky, that was doing it with Lenny Leonard. But if it wasn't, either way, I love that commentary team. They were always really on top of their games when it comes to, calling the matches and calling the shows. But if I have to give 2 honorable mentions, the first one would be Michael Cole and JBL from SmackDown from 2006 to 2007. I really enjoyed their commentary work. And they were really one of the things that I really enjoyed about SmackDown from that time. Michael Cole was the straight man calling the matches, from what he saw. And JBL was the guy that had, like, the actual in-ring influence, saying, like, there's gonna be one hell of a world title match. I really enjoyed it then. Now, it got more annoying, and it really started to get worse and worse. But I still enjoyed JBL's commentary from that time. And the other honorable mention, I'm going to give it to Kevin Kelly and Steve Corino. They were entertaining, and I really enjoyed their commentary for the time that they've been working together in Ring of Honor since, I believe, 2012 or 2013. I really enjoyed their commentary. Second question, match you really like, but the majority of fans don't. I think that's kind of simple, but it's really one where you have to look deeper into it. And for me, I'm going to go with Larry Zbyszko versus Steven Regal from WCW Slamboree 1994. A majority of fans, for maybe like the early 2000s who saw Ring of Honor, they would have loved this match. They would have dug it up. But today's fans, not so much. Let's be honest. They really don't enjoy these types of matches anymore. But if you give them the time to actually dissect a match like this, minus the first couple minutes, which was slow and dull, let's be honest. But after that first initial couple of minutes, the last 9 minutes was really, really good. And it's one of the better matches that Regal has had in his career. And I would say it's probably the best match I've seen Larry Zbyszko ever have. And yeah, it was a great matchup, and I definitely recommend it. And it's one where it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, which is kind of the theme of this question, but it's definitely one that I would recommend you guys to check out if you haven't seen it. It's a really nice underrated gem. And last question, most surprising Money in the Bank win. I have to give it to Jack Swagger from WrestleMania 26 in 2010, solely for the fact that he didn't really have that significant of a push prior to that. Yeah, he was pushed in late 2008, early 2009 when he had the ECW title and had those matches with Christian for the belt. But outside of that, you know, for a while he was wandering and meandering for that time. He really didn't have anything to do. And then after people were like bitching about Drew McIntyre possibly winning, not because they hated him, but because the push actually wasn't like very credible and they were forcing him down our throats as a heel. But when Swagger won, it was a surprise. It was a surprise and also a bit of like a what the fuck moment, because Swagger really wasn't doing anything significant prior to that. And let's be honest, his world title reign in terms of the booking, after the a couple of matches, which they were actually pretty good. A couple matches were good, but other than that, the booking of his reign was shit. And he was just dull, boring, and didn't really have anything. And when he won Money in the Bank, yeah, it was definitely questionable. And yeah, Swagger, most surprising Money in the Bank winner. And yeah, thank you for your questions. Next set of questions come from JerichoHolic8704. 2 he's got for me this week, although this is his first time asking. And thank you for asking the questions. First question, favorite book you've ever read? I don't enjoy reading as much because it takes up a bit of my time, but I do enjoy it whenever there's actually something interesting to read. I really enjoyed reading the first 2 Hunger Games books. It actually, for some stupid reason, read the first Twilight book. I remember, like, that it was just a book. But let's be honest, nobody would read those books unless they were watching the movies, and let's be honest, there was some shitty writing in there. But if I have to choose my favorite book, I'm going to go with The Hummingbird's Daughter. I think it's a book that I really, really enjoyed, that was actually kind of entertaining to read, although there are some Spanish words, mainly when the characters were cussing, since this is in a, I think the location was in Mexico, and then they immigrated towards America. And it's the story about this man who owns this ranch. He's El Jefe, and is well known for sleeping with a lot of women, including the employees at his ranch. And one of the employees, who's considered the hummingbird, gives birth to a baby girl. But because of the fact that she's not able to take care of her, she leaves the ranch and leaves the baby with her sister, who would then eventually move her way up and even learn the truth about her mother and about her father. And it's pretty interesting. It's just an interesting read. It's a long book, yes. It's about 500 pages, but there were good pages worth reading. And I definitely recommend you guys to give it a read. There is some words in Spanish, so you might need to look them up on Google Translate. But it's definitely an entertaining book if you haven't read it. And your second question, what are some of your favorite and least favorite wrestling nicknames? If I have to choose a favorite, this is a bit of an underrated one. I would go with the typical ones from like the wrestlers in the Attitude Era, but I haven't seen all the Attitude Era stuff, unless I watched it from the Attitude Era DVD that came out a few years ago, which was pretty decent, let's be honest. But if I have to choose one, I'm going to go with an underrated one, and that is Tomohiro Ishii's nickname of the Stone Pitbull. And dude, when you are known as one of the biggest badasses in New Japan, you don't get the nickname of Stone Pitbull without probable reason. And holy shit, if you've seen his work in New Japan, you will know why he's known as the Stone Pitbull. Jesus Christ. He's one tough motherfucker. If I have to choose a least favorite, I don't really know any bad ones off the top of my head, so I can't really choose one as a least favorite. But there really wasn't much. Maybe the All-American American for Jack Swagger. I didn't really like that. For me, to me when I was a kid, I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Although I didn't say fuck, but anyway. Yeah, the All-American American nickname I didn't really like, and it's not completely shitty like other ones probably out there, but that one was probably my least favorite that I've seen, or that I've heard. But thank you for your questions, Jarkaholic8704, and hope to see you send in more questions in the future. Thank you for taking your time to send in questions, brother. And the third set of questions, and the final ones I've got here for this week's edition, is from Chris Jericho, the greatest of all time. Holy shit, Chris Jericho actually sent me questions? But in all seriousness, let's get to his questions. Most underrated match ever. I would have gone with Zbyszko versus Regal, but that match is mainly based on taste, and not everyone's going to be, given, they thought that was good versus thinking that it was bad. So it's more based on taste. But if I have to go with an underrated one, I think I would actually have to give this one to a forgotten gem, actually. From Pro Wrestling Noah, April of 2003, I believe it was. GHC Heavyweight Championship match. Champion Kenta Kobashi taking on challenger Tamon Honda. And that match was excellent. Fantastic mat wrestling. Great technical work. And Kobashi, if you think he's just like a big badass who just chops the shit out of people, such as like he would do in the Joe versus Kobashi match in 2005, watch this match and you will know he was a great technician. But I think the reason why he didn't do too many of these types of matches was because of the knee problems he was suffering from the time, and the reason why 10 years later he would have to retire in 2013. But yeah, despite the knee problems he was having, he was able to deliver, and he was considered the best in the world from like 2003 to 2005 until several other wrestlers would try to take the throne from him. But when you put him up against one of the most unknown and probably the most forgotten Japanese wrestlers out there in Tamon Honda, who actually has teamed up with Kobashi before and actually won the GHC Heavyweight Tag Team Championships that year from Akitoshi Sato and Jun Akiyama, it's definitely going to be an odd combination, but when you look at it from the best matches in Pro Wrestling Noah history, it actually still holds up, and it's a really, really excellent matchup, and you guys definitely got to watch it. It's really great. And your second question is the polar opposite of the most underrated. What is the most overrated match ever? And for me, I would have gone with TLC 2 because of the lack of psychology and the lack of consistency from the selling of spots. But for me, I'm going to give it to a match that was an even worse offender of that. But when you look at it from the perspective of what type of match it actually was trying to accomplish to become, I don't understand it. And this was the Young Bucks and Adam Cole versus Ricochet, Matt Sydal, and Will Ospreay from PWG's Battle of Los Angeles 2016, Night 2, I believe it was. The famous 6-man tag that was rated 5 stars by Dave Meltzer. Okay, I'm pretty sure he rated that match 5 based on what he saw live. If he saw this on TV, he probably would have said, well, the match was really great, but not like 5 stars. And that's the problem with PWG. When people rate their matches, sometimes they rate them and take the opinions of matches from PWG based on the live, the live experience. But when you watch it at home, it doesn't hold up as well because the crowd brings that energy. And you can experience the energy on DVD and everything like that, correct. But the actual excitement and quality of the match doesn't hold up on DVD that much. For example, YouTuber Zach Brown actually went to PWG 13, the 13th anniversary show back in 2016. And I talked to him on Twitter and told him that the match with JT Dunn and Chris Hero versus the Young Bucks, he said it was a really great matchup live, but he did admit that on DVD it doesn't hold up as well, but he thought it was really good. And I saw the hype for O'Reilly versus Sabre Jr., and when I got to see it, I was disappointed. I have to admit that. So the experience live versus the experience on DVD, it's different. But for those who are saying it's 5 stars when watching it on TV, for me, I just don't understand it because the first few minutes was like meandering, like not much. But there were some high octane, exciting spots and moments throughout the latter parts of the matchup, which I do admit was really awesome. But for me, I just don't understand why it's being praised as a 5-star matchup when you're talking about those that were rating it not based on their judgments from Dave Meltzer. Because let's be honest, that type of shit is really annoying. And your last question is the worst commentator ever. Now, I have not listened to too much commentary from the 90s. I mean, I've not seen the epic masterpiece of commentary that Art Donovan gave at King of the Ring 1994. But if I have to choose the worst commentator I've ever heard, I would have to simply go with 2 words: Byron Saxton. Now, I enjoyed his work in NXT from here and there. And he did wrestle in FCW, and I believe even the early stages of NXT for a bit, until he stopped and went on to become a commentator. But my God, the last year or two, him on the main roster as a commentator, he's just so infuriating and fucking annoying. He points out the dumbest shit ever. It's like, come on, that it's because of Ric Flair that Charlotte, because is still the women's champion, and it annoys the shit out of me. He's always shit. It's almost like he's shitting on the heels, and not pointing out strengths of the heels and the faces. It's fucking annoying. Byron Saxton, and I know there are way worse commentators out there, especially the ones from Heroes of Wrestling, but we're never gonna touch that pile of shit again. Because let's be honest, that's like the Batman and Robin of pro wrestling. But yeah. Byron Sexton, fuck off, please. Get off Raw. You're just fucking annoying. But anyway, thank you guys for sending in your questions. I had a lot of fun, answering this week's editions of my weekly Q&A. And send in your questions for next week's edition. I really enjoyed this week's. And for next week's, I hope to see a little bit more creativity from you guys, because I know that there's got to be some out there. And let me know in the comment section below. Did you like this episode? Did you dislike this episode? Did you enjoy last week's instead of this week's episode? And send in your questions. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that sumbitch notification bell to know when I upload a new video, such as with my upcoming G1 Climax reviews, and more videos coming down the line related to New Japan and all of pro wrestling. And if you guys enjoyed this, let me know. And until the next video, such as for next week's edition of the weekly Q&A, I'm Princess Longstyle 92. Peace.
This week on the